Aged ornaments are really popular and they can sell for a ton on high-end sites. But the great thing is you can make them for so much less with Dollar Tree items. So for this DIY, we're gonna get a variety of sizes in our ornaments. I'm gonna remove the tops to all the ornaments. Then I'm going to gather some leftover paint. I think the key whenever you're creating ornaments like this is using common household colors. So for my ornaments, I'm gonna be using leftover paint samples in terracotta. I have a green, a black, and a cream color. I'm gonna paint 1 coat of paint on all of my ornaments, doing about 2 ornaments in each color. And I'm gonna let those dry completely. If you're wondering the best way to dry ornaments, oftentimes I like to take a paint skewer and put the ornament on top. You can set it in a cup or stick it in a cardboard box, but that's a great way to let your ornament dry if you've painted it. Next, to create that aged look, we're gonna be using plaster of Paris. So I have a cup of the plaster, a cup of water, and I'm going to take a brush, dip it into the water, then I'll dip it into the plaster, and then I'm going to dab it around my ornament. I'll use a sponge to press the plaster into my ornament. Again, I'll let these sit out, but with the plaster, depending on how much of the color underneath you want to show through, add as little or as much as you'd like. For the tops, I wanted these to be a little bit aged, so I decided to go with a black rub and buff color, and I'm gonna use a foam brush. I'll add that to the top of my ornaments. Once everything's dry, I'll add the toppers back on. And then I'm gonna style them in a wood bowl. I'll also add in some Dollar Tree greenery pieces that you can pick up in the Christmas section. If you're wondering what to do with all these cute Christmas plates that you see at Dollar Tree, here is an option for you. Get one of the clear bowls that they have at Dollar Tree. They have these out all year round. And then in the base of the bowl, you can put fun decorative Christmas items. Change this up however you want it. What I'm gonna be doing is adding some faux snow to the bottom. Then I'm gonna be adding in some red Dollar Tree ornaments. I'll put E6000 around the top of the bowl, and then I'll place on one of these cute Christmas plates. You can have these sitting out for the holidays as cookies or any treats you may have. If you've watched any of my YouTube videos, you've probably seen the paint pour wall art in my living room that I created a few years back. I love them and they're not going anywhere, but I have an idea to create another paint pour piece for the holidays. If you're like me, you don't want to spend a lot of money on a wall art piece that's only going to be displayed in your home a few months out of the year. That is why we're going to DIY. I picked up 2 30x40 canvases from Hobby Lobby. I find Hobby Lobby to have the best deal on these larger canvases. I had a few ideas on what type of design I wanted to do on these. At first I thought maybe I would make a wreath, and then I thought let's do a tree. Now I was a little nervous to just go for it and do a tree on these big canvases, so I had a smaller canvas that I practiced on first. I added some white paint and paint pour medium together, put it on my smaller canvas because you want to completely cover your canvas before you start your piece. Then I added paint in greens and neutrals and black. Then using my blow dryer, I moved the paint around. After I did this paint pour piece, I really didn't like the shape of the trees. I was wanting them to be a little bit thinner, so I decided whenever I moved to the larger piece, I was going to change up the shape of the trees. I do think it's a good idea to practice first before you do a larger wall art piece. Then I moved on to my larger wall art piece, and again, I'm gonna do it the exact same way. Whenever you're doing a paint pour, you need to put down a solid color. I usually like to do white, but you could do any other color. So I'm gonna mix a paint pouring medium with a white color paint, and I'll put it on the top of my canvas. I had to mix this up several times to get enough paint on there. Then I'm going to move the canvas around so that every inch of my canvas, even the sides, is covered with that paint. So on my canvas, I want to create 3 trees. So I'm going to start on one side doing 1 tree at a time. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw a vertical line with my paint pour paints. I'm using greens, blacks, and neutral colors to achieve this look. Once I have that straight line on, I'm going to be using my blow dryer. You gotta be really careful with your blow dryer because this can get out of hand really fast. I'm actually having my blow dryer very vertical with this canvas, and I'm just lightly pushing the paint out until I get to the end of that line. Take a step back, look at it. If you feel like you need to add a little bit more of the blow dryer to move the paint, do that. You can also add additional paint. If you're not liking the colors, you can put in additional paint to get more of whatever color you're going for. As I was doing this, I kind of realized which color I wanted to put down first, so it was on the underside. I was hoping to get a lot of the green coming through. Now I'm going to move to my larger tree, and to do that, I'm just going to make the line a little bit longer. That's gonna make a variation in height on my trees. I'll add all the paint on, and then I'll use my blow dryer to spread the paint out. Now in between my 2 trees, I'm going to put a smaller one in the middle. Again, same steps. However high I want my tree is how much paint I will put up to the line. And then I'll use the blow dryer on that paint. Now I have a second canvas to make, and I wanted these 2 canvases to be mirror images of each other. Started the exact same way, mixing paint pour medium with white paint, putting that on my canvas. I'll move it around to cover the entire canvas. Since I wanted them to be a mirror image, I put both of my prints next to each other so that while I was creating them, I was making the trees the exact same height. It was okay if they weren't perfect, they weren't exactly the same, but I wanted to try my best to make them look similar because they're gonna be on either side of my fireplace. Whenever you're doing paint pour, you have to let it sit and dry at least overnight. Sometimes I will let it dry 2 days, but once it's completely dry, you can hang it up in your home. And I have to say, I think these are gonna be perfect for the holiday season. Hey guys, I'm Liz and you're watching my second DIY channel where I post daily DIY videos. You may be familiar with my main channel, Liz Fenwick DIY, but I'm glad that you found me over here on my second channel. Make sure that you're subscribed so you just get notified every day when I post our daily DIY video.